Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to this episode of the Small Business Surgeon, and boy, do we have a treat today. So today's guest came about as somebody I met back in last December, and she is a wonderful lady. She's been a huge influence on me building the organic marketing side of my business, and I wanted to bring her on and have her tell her story because it's a wonderful story. Please welcome, guys, author of The Lady CEO, the owner and head person in charge at Midwest Insurance Solutions. I am super happy to have you here, Miss Jessica Stroud. Thank you, Jessica. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. With an intro like that, man, maybe I should stand up out of my chair. I got a lot to live up to.
You better step it up now. So, like, this lady is the lady who I asked a question of. She had come to present at a group that I was in, and she did 700 insurance policies by referral last year. How many was that? You did a lot.
Oh, gosh. Okay, so yes, I am affectionately known in our circle as the referral queen. That's what they call me. So we did not write 700 policies, but in 2020, I did personally generate 718 referrals for my insurance agency. And it's nothing exciting, right? It's just auto and home insurance, right?
That's pretty good. Like
I know. So, but Sam, as exciting as that is, what I'm even more proud of is that over 5 years, I generated over 3,000 referrals. I think it's like 3,200 something. And that, for me as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, that consistency is what I'm most proud of.
Well, what most people don't realize is that referral marketing is, as far as I'm concerned, the most powerful form of marketing that you can do, because when a referral's in place, you have a level of trust between two people that is then enjoyed by the third party. And I base my business on it entirely, and I know it's been super successful for you. But before, I really want to get into the breakdown of how this all works. But before we get into that, and before we analyze what it is you do that creates such great referrals, I want to hear a bit about the history of Jessica Stroud, because here on the Small Business Surgeon, one of the things for my listeners is I like them to know that they're not alone. I like them to know that every single successful person out there has struggled through some stuff. So without holding too much back, tell us the story of Jessica. Where did you come from, and how did you become this badass fucking author that does all this stuff and inspires so many women? I mean, if you guys haven't checked out her Facebook page or her book is called The Lady CEO. You'll really owe it to yourselves. Jump on social media, find her, and of course we'll put the links up here. But Jessica is just a badass. So tell us, where did you come from, and what's the start of the Jessica Stroud story?
The Jessica Stroud show. So the quick answer is the business group that you and I are in, and how we met, and how we learned so much is.
You can say Apex. It's not a swear word. Yeah. We can say Apex. It's all good.
It's like a secret club. You can't get in. you got to know somebody to get in. Isn't that the truth?
It is. So, it's the best. It's the best cult. It's the best cult.
I know, that's what I think.
It's wonderful.
It's a cult, and it's so good. I think what we know in the Apex with our Apex crew is the short version is I became okay with failing. I failed so much, and I love that you're like, all right, Jess, tell me the bad stuff. Right before you hit the recording button, you said, I want you to tell the bad stuff as much as you're comfortable with. So I'm fairly new to insurance, right? This is only my 6th year working in our business.
I didn't know that. Didn't know that at all.
And so when I talk about the big referral numbers, sometimes people assume, oh, well, when you first got in, because the first year was 2016. Mm-hmm. And so let me set the scene for you. I was a pharmaceutical sales rep, and I had the good salary. I had the good territory, right? I didn't
Hmm.
travel a whole lot. I sold a diabetes medication,
Oh, dude,
which
that's like shooting fish in a
man.
bucket.
Had like the number one territory. It was so good. I was what they called a stage walker because at all of the different ceremonies and awards and all that, there was one time when they said they were doing the awards and there was a chair on stage and the guys thought they were being funny and they put my name on the chair. They put a piece of paper on the chair and said, you might as well just sit down because we have 9 awards for you in your territory and then for your own personal production volume. So I
At
tell
what,
you that just to paint the story.
at
I've
what
got
point?
the
At what
good
point do you just
salary.
like bow out and be like, "Hey,
The,
give the awards to Susan because she really needs it." And I'm just like,
right. I've got the good drugs, the good territory. I've got a company car. I've got a salary. I've got quarterly bonuses. We're a family of 4, been happily married for 17 years. We have 2 sons, and we had, I mean, really good medical benefits through my company.
mhm,
I'd been in pharmaceutical sales for about 4 or 5 years, and I just started getting this rumbling inside, like so many entrepreneurs do. You're just you just know that there's something else because in pharmaceutical sales, you're trying to be an influencer.
mhm.
You're trying to go in and influence these doctors to change their prescription writing habits.
Right.
That's it, legit. That's what it is. You use science for some. You use try to use different patient characteristics. You bring in all lunches and stuff like that to try to get them to like you. You just you're trying to influence their prescription
Of
writing
course. Yeah.
behaviors.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was kind of good at it, right? I'm kind of a friendly face, a lot of people like me, this and that. But I just started getting this rumbling. And I remember it happened around, it started in October of 2015. And for those of you who want to grab the book, please do. It's only $5.99 on Amazon. So it's definitely budget friendly. But I won't ruin this, but one of the stories in there is about how I had been self employed. I was an entrepreneur before,
Hmm.
and I failed. The story I told myself was that I failed. And I carried that with me for many, many years. And so when I started getting this rumbling inside to be like, you're like, you need to go out and do your own thing. You need to be self-employed again. I was scared, Sam. I was scared because like so many of us, I carried that failure with me for so long. And so one day I don't even remember exactly
Do
what the sign.
Do you
Yes.
mind me asking what the business was? What it
Oh,
was that failed?
I was a realtor for 8 years. So
Ah,
what,
that is a
so
tough gig.
Well, so what happened was I started when I was 22-ish
Hmm.
and I did nothing but work. I killed it. Like I did really good. I was doing almost 50 transactions a year. I was great. But 22, 23, um, so my sons were born in 2008 and 2009.
Hmm.
Well, what also happened to the real estate market in
Yeah.
2008,
Yeah. Good
2009,
call.
right? So what happened was now you stick a sign in a front yard, you've got a 99.9% chance of selling it. Well, in 2008 and 2009, you had a 25% chance of selling it.
Hmm.
So the market crashed. I had 2 babies back to back, right? What a blessing. 2 healthy babies, 14 months apart. But real estate no longer fit my life. But that's not, in my 30-year-old mind, I've had this career and this identity for so long. And, I think I know there was some postpartum stuff going on there, postpartum
Of
depression, because
course.
most
Yeah.
women go through it. We just don't talk about it. But I couldn't see it when I was there. What I saw was you failed. You had to leave real estate and go get a job because you failed. I didn't fail. The market was crazy. I had babies. The nights and weekends, go, 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 hustle, hustle, hustle lifestyle did not fit me. And I wasn't business smart enough to be like, okay, well, how can we rework this? So I did. I did what I had to do and left real estate because we were a 2-income family. But I carried that as a failure for a long time. But
Man.
I mean, I'm over it now, and but yeah. So when so I got the good job and I got the guaranteed income and I got all that, and I'm like, oh. And when you get that little rumbling inside, I squashed it for months and months and months, and finally I was like, oh. So I went to my husband, who owned my poor husband. God bless him, right? So I went to my husband and I said, "Good news, honey. Gotta spin it, right? I want to come and start working in the insurance business." So because we had started, he'd been in insurance forever, like
Hmm.
14, 15 years. And he started our independent agency. We started it together, but I didn't work in it. And
Right, right.
I just kind of felt this thing like, okay, I want to go and build that. Like I want to build something that's going to serve my family. I want to use my personality and my skills to build something for my family and not build something for a massive pharmaceutical sales company.
I mean, that's the
So
thing. That's the thing we all forget, that if you know you've got this rumbling in your stomach, if you're not building your dreams, then you are getting paid to build somebody else's. You know,
yep,
so fair play to
every
you.
every single day I was selling their stuff, and I didn't really fit so well into the corporate environment.
I can't imagine why.
I, I played the games the best I could, but I was a little bit of a misfit sometimes. And
Hmm.
they're like, "You can't do it like that." I'm like, "Dude, I'm the number one. Let me do it the way I do it, so we can stay number one."
That's
Anyway,
that's that's the good thing about Apex. I think we're all misfits in one way or another. We all seem to figure it out a little bit better than the corporations in the end of the day. So
so I went to my husband. Good news, honey. I want to come and work in the insurance business, right? I want to
mm.
start building this for our family. And he says, "That's a problem."
What?
He says to me, um, "You have a really good salary. We have really good medical benefits. You have a company car. You like nice cars. If you leave your job, we have to pay for medical benefits and I have to buy you a car." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's right." The dreamer just has the dream, right? And my poor husband, the integrator, he's like, "Okay, wait, slow down." So, long story short, what ended up happening that year is I wasn't. So here's where the good part about failing and the stories inside of the book come in.
Hmm.
I had learned a lesson. As much as I felt like a failure, I learned a very powerful lesson. And that was, I'm not going to follow my dream at the financial risk of my family. If it will put my family in a financial risk, like I'm not doing it. It's not worth it, right? It's not worth putting my marriage at risk or having my husband lose sleep at night. I'm just not going to do that, right?
Right.
So what happened was I structured my days where I could literally take my foot off of the gas pedal with pharmaceutical sales,
Hmm.
do that in the morning up until the infamous pharmaceutical sales lunches, and then
Yep.
after lunch I would jump
Yep.
into insurance agent mode, right? So I did that for until September. So from January to September, I lived two identities in 2016. And so what happened was I ended with over 300 referrals. I think it was like 346
Wow.
in 2016, and I was still working a full-time job. So I don't care what anyone's excuses are. If I can be a wife, if I can be a mom, if I can juggle two literally full-time positions and generate that many referrals, and I didn't know anyone, right? All of my realtor friends from 10 years ago
Uh huh.
weren't even in the business anymore,
Most of them
right?
wouldn't be. No.
No,
So
and it's not like, in insurance, they're like, "Oh, work with your friends and family." If we were gonna have your insurance, you were already working with my husband. Like
hmm.
it wasn't like I could go
Right.
and solicit everyone. The kicker for that is, so I must have been, let's see, I'm 42 now, so I must have been what, like 35-ish, 37-ish, somewhere. I don't know, math,
Okay.
whatever, don't matter.
It's all
Um,
good.
I I got shingles. I'm young, right? Pretty
Okay.
young, and I got shingles. And for those of you who don't know what shingles is, it is a terrible, painful, blistery red rash that lasts for months and months and months. And
That
I was
sounds
changing
awful.
Oh, it was terrible. And it started at my belly button and literally went around my waist to my spinal cord, right where my pants sit. Like if
Oh,
I'm wearing, yeah, it was terrible. So about 3 days in of to what I thought was like a spider bite or something that just kept getting worse. My husband, it was blistering, and John goes, "That's nasty. You need to go get that checked out. You need to go to the doctor." I'm like, "Okay, I'm going to go to the doctor." And she says, "You have shingles." And I said, "Well, that's for old people." And she said, "Or people with compromised immune systems. What are
hmm
you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm building some. I'm working 2 jobs." So I went back to my husband and I was like, if ever there was a sign from God that I needed to leave pharmaceutical sales.
hmm
So, but also though, what we could, because he wanted me to stay for the whole year, but he wanted me to hang on forever. But what also, so my funny little thing is that my performance was really starting to suffer in pharmaceutical sales. So I was about to be fired anyway.
Well,
So, peace out,
but
whatever.
the grass is green where you water it, and you were clearly watering the insurance side of the business.
I
And
clearly was.
I
Yes,
want to
yes.
go back to the obstacles that were in front of you just then. So you was a mom, you were working in pharmaceutical sales, you had shingles, you made absolutely no excuses, and you still went ahead and did the work. And for those people listening, that's a critical component to success. In around our group, there's a saying. It's what's the saying about excuses, Jessica?
So what?
The
So which
say
one?
the saying we have about excuses in
Oh,
Apex.
the force of average. The fuck your excuses.
There you go. I just
That
wanted you to say fuck on my show. Yes.
one?
Jessica is the absolute epitome of someone who just said fuck my excuses and went on and got along and got on with it. So, and working for 9 months, 2 jobs, no excuses,
Right.
was the foundation. So, tell me, how on earth did you get 300 plus referrals in a first year working 2 jobs? What did you do?
So um, there's an incredible. I I don't roll like most people do. So I used to think when I was younger, the story I told myself was, "Oh, you're lazy. You're not going to work as hard as everybody. You just don't want to work as hard as everybody else." Well, clearly, with the story we just talked about, that's not true. But I didn't understand that. I just work differently than everyone else.
Hmm.
So what my deal was, and the reason why I was able to get my territory in pharmaceutical sales to number one and stay at number one is because I didn't treat all the doctors equally. Like in the pharmaceutical sales, if this is your bank of doctors, you go and see these doctors. Well, for me, I was like, I sell a diabetes drug. Which of these doctors has a high patient clientele or whatever you want to call it of people with diabetes?
Right,
if
right.
only if only 5% of their patients have diabetes, why am I going to go see them? They don't
Hmm.
need my drug. So it was like, if you didn't have a 70% or more client ratio of people with diabetes, I wasn't going to go see you because you didn't need my drug. So I sat down and I had because I wasn't in a desperate situation, because I still had my other income. Being desperate will put you in a bad spot sometimes. And so it allowed me this free flowing thinking. And I was like, all right, who is my perfect client?
Hmm.
And when it's just you and you get quiet and you can be really honest with yourself, that's when the magic happens. If I had to sell life insurance to pay my bills, I would go get a job because I am not the best at follow up. I learned that, right? I'm just saying. I just beat myself over the head with follow up, follow up, follow up. No, I know. Yes, don't at me about Jessica, the forces of the follow up. I get that. I get that. But I just don't at me about that, please. Thank you.
You
But
can't hear me laughing, but I'm laughing really quietly, and Jessica can see me laughing. That's making her laugh. So yeah, she's right though. Call the leads, follow up. Yeah,
but
that's where the money's at.
so I learned about I dialed up the lessons I learned about myself in real estate. I'm like, who is my perfect client? Well, people who have to have my product. Okay, who has to have my product? People who have a deadline, because I don't want to be following up with you for 4, 5, 6 months
Hmm.
to see if we're going to do business together. I
No,
just don't want to
absolutely.
do that. So they have to have my product. They have a deadline, and I can be introduced to them. Now, isn't that a perfect world?
Hmm.
Isn't that the perfect client? So I figured out who my perfect client was and I went after it. I got busy going after it. I didn't say to myself, oh, those people don't exist. Oh, you can't do that. No, who's my perfect person and how can I go find it? So then the 3 feet from gold moment, right? Okay, so the people
Hold
that
on,
have
before
to
you go there,
3 feet
listen
from
to that
gold,
again. Who is my perfect person?
right?
And
Who
where are
has
they?
to have who has
Where
to
are
have
they?
my product. That I want them to have insurance,
Uh-huh.
and I want them to have a deadline, and I want to be introduced to them. So I could walk in Starbucks in the state of, well, I think all the states now, but because you have to have auto insurance, right?
Right.
It's legal. If you own a car, you have to have auto insurance. So I could walk into Starbucks and go, everyone in here has to have my product. Okay. All
Mm-hmm.
right. True. If they own a car, they have to have my product, but there's no deadline.
Right.
And I can't necessarily be introduced to them. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's no urgency for them to work with me. So I said, who is my perfect client? Well, people who are buying homes are my perfect client.
Yep. And notice, guys, that was the first thing Jessica did when she sat down to start out planning her business. She didn't do anything else other than who is my perfect client. That was the first thing on her list. Okay, sorry about that. Tell us, Jessica, about the 3 feet from gold moment.
But that's not the only thing.
Carry on with
Okay,
that.
so
It's cool.
because so again, analyzing the whole insurance thing, I was like, all right, but do I want to work with small businesses? Because in the insurance world, they teach you to be everything to everyone.
Mhm.
Everything to everyone. Do small business, do health insurance, do life insurance, do home and auto insurance, be everything to everyone. So I had first thought of, well, I wanted to work with dentists. I wanted to do small business policies for dentists because they have lots of expensive equipment and they have to insure that equipment, but they didn't fit into my category. They have to have my product. There's a deadline for them to have my product, and I can be introduced to them. So
Yeah.
I had to go down a couple of those paths before, honestly, I finally decided on people who are purchasing homes. So then the whole 3 feet from gold was, I didn't start a campaign for people buying houses. I didn't throw up a funnel. I didn't start buying leads. I said, who is talking to my client? Most people will think, well, realtors are talking to your client. Okay, but let's go a little deeper. The realtors are not thinking about insurance. The
Realtors don't think about much, to be fair.
No. Well, okay, they do because they have a million things to do, right?
I can make fun of realtors. I'm a realtor.
No, I know.
I can make fun.
I can too. I can make fun too because we love them so much. But they're not saying to them, okay, here's how it affects your debt. Here's how it affects the cash to close. Here's how it affects your monthly payment. Here's how it affects your debt to income ratios. Here's how it does all this. And in my area, let's talk about this again in the quiet when nobody else is listening. You can be honest with yourself. So in my area, let's say a good realtor does 40 transactions a year. That's a lot in my area.
Yeah.
Let's say 20 of them are buyers. Okay. Let's say they can refer 15 of those 20 buyers to me. Right. Well, several of them are going to blow me off, never talk to me, whatever. So then we're at, okay, maybe I can quote 10 of those policies and I'm going to close 8 of those policies. That I don't really like those numbers.
It's pretty low. It's pretty low. You would need to hang out with a lot of realtors to make a good year.
If I'm going to get to 700 referrals, yeah, and I didn't even know that was the goal. So I love the realtor community, and I do spend a lot of time with the realtor community. Some of my closest friends are realtors, but so it was the mortgage people who are processing mortgages, the mortgage lenders. I thought those are my perfect people. So then I asked myself, how can I serve them? It wasn't a gimme, let them give me business. It was, how can I serve them? How can I make their jobs easier? How can I make their lives a better place to live? What do they need from that I can provide that maybe they don't even know that they need?
Right.
Because you and I know, while running your business on referrals, is the best way for multiple reasons, right? The most profitable.
It's incredible. When my phone rings, it's a client. They're ready to work with me. They know me. They trust me. It's phenomenal.
We get people that hit us up on at least twice a week and say, hey, I'm supposed to work with you. So and so said I need insurance, then so I'm going to work with you. But what we also know is it can be, it's the most accountable. Like, you have got to be accountable to your people. You've got to serve your people. You've got to, your referral partners, you've got to take care of them. It's very relational. And some people just want to be transactional. So it's all right. I'm not saying if you want to be transactional and buy leads, that's fine. Good for you. Know yourself. But if you can't be relational, because referral, it has to be a two-way street. Like, you and I know that they send you business, and you got to ask yourself, how can I pour into their life? How can I make their life a better place? It's exactly what can I learn so that I can go and teach my business friends so that they can grow their business. It's not when you are truly running your business by referral, it's not about you. So the fun part is that I didn't get my first referral in 2016 till April.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because when you're planting seeds and you're nurturing relationships and you're trying to help people, they're going to make you come around for a while.
It takes a minute. I mean, when I first started, it took me doing this for a good 9 to 12 months before I really started to see a very, very positive return on investment. I mean, absolutely. I think, with business, we can have the forced moves where we pay for advertising, we pay for traffic, we pay for funnels, and we pay for leads, and we call the leads and we hammer them. But I the guys refer to these as power moves, where we do network events, where we put on podcasts, where we write books like you, and people... It builds, in my mind, it builds a much stronger foundation for a business. It builds way better roots, and then we can supplement referrals with advertising campaigns. Sure, we can. Sure. But I love I love helping people, and I love that it's made me a valued part of a community that I had very little, inroads with, except for going out to the bar and seeing people out in the bar.
So everybody wants to be invited to a party, and nobody wants to host the party.
Amen. So I just made my own party.
So that's it, right? And you and I have had so many conversations about this. Is you and I have become the introducer. We introduce people. Who do you know that can do this? Oh, here, let me hook you up. I get at
least 3 to 4 messages a day, and I refer business. Right. I refer business across my network.
So people don't just think about me when they think of insurance. They think about, oh, I need a referral here, or hey, I need help with this, or hey, I got to run this. Who I need a good accountant. Who can I talk to? I'll talk to Jessica. I need this. I need that. We have become. Hey, I need a good book, Jessica. What are you reading? Like we are. Well, my book, of course, right? But anyway, hey, I need to listen to a good podcast. Oh, have you listened to my friend Sam's podcast? But we live our lives with our antenna up for how can we serve other people.
Yes. I mean, I share Thomas and Mike's podcast all the time.
Yeah, that's the difference.
But the difference it's made in my life just from connecting people. I mean, I got asked at lunchtime, hey, do you know a good locksmith? And yes, as a matter of fact, I do. And referred him a locksmith. And I said, hey, tell them I send them your way. They'll take extra good care of you. And then they know it's somebody that I sent, so they do a little bit more to take care of the client. They make a better impression because they don't want to mess up Sam's referral and not get any more referrals. And then they send me business back. It's the most powerful, organic way I've found to generate any kind of business. So I want to know a little bit about the nuts and bolts of how you set up your particular group or what it is that you do and how you generate these referrals on such a regular and consistent basis. What's the key to one of our listeners that's thinking, hey, you know what, maybe I'm going to have my insurance business in Waco, copy whatever Jessica's doing, and walk us through the setup there and the framework that you've got in order to create the consistency that you do.
So I had to say to myself, all right, I can't be this person that goes to realtors and mortgage lenders and says, oh, hey, I'll send me your clients and I'll take really good care of them. right? I know a common thing in the insurance world for insurance agents is, oh, I'll send you a $20 gift card for every referral you send me. Okay, all right, I get it, but there's got to be something else. There's got to be some kind of a personable where they understand that you're trying to help them. What are people's favorite topics? If people's favorite
Themselves.
topics are, that's exactly right. So I started to just start to study and say, okay, what can I learn that I can teach other people? And so I did. I started a Facebook group like you did, and it was a well, essentially, you and I built our own BNI groups. We
Hmm.
built, especially when people going through COVID, there are so many people who were um, there were so many people who were trying to their network was dependent on someone else.
Yes.
Their network is dependent upon other people's connections. And you and I just said, yeah, we're gonna host our own party. We're gonna host our own party. So that's what I got busy doing was like, how do I create my own network? And then as you let's say, all right, so I'm real clear on who I want to work with and who I don't want to work with. And I get that people go to networking events, and I'm not saying that that's a terrible thing, but I just don't do it. Because
Right.
again, I got to be honest with myself. What am I going to do? If I join a local BNI, which is a fabulous business and concept, and I know that I want to work with people who are purchasing homes, maybe two people in there are my target. How
Right.
much time and energy and all that? I'm like, no, I'm not going to do that. So I started studying ways of growing businesses, and I started teaching classes on it.
Hmm.
So I would go to the title companies who, they like having realtors and they like having mortgage companies, mortgage people inside their office. And there was this one that had a really good training room. And I said, hey, I'm going to put together this PowerPoint on how to build your business through social media, right? Because that's what I studied, how to put your business together through social media. And I said, can I teach a class here? Can we hold like 30 people? And every quarter, I would start teaching these classes, social media classes. It could have been anything. It could be a book study, right? It could be a Facebook group. It could be really, I mean, it could be anything.
It's just
So
anything that gives back and
that's exactly
gives
right.
value to people. And the key here is to give value without asking for anything in return.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They're going to find out what you do. You don't have to be that
Yeah.
person that throws up all over them. Because Sam, I refuse to be the person that would be like, "Hi, I met you at BNI yesterday. Can I quote your homeowner's insurance?" Or,
Right.
"Hey,
Hey, you want
mortgage
to buy a
person.
house? Psst.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, mortgage
Yeah.
person. I know that you have four other insurance agents standing in front of me, but send me your business. Give me your business."
Yep.
It's like, what are you going to bring? Right. So I had the benefit of being a likable person. I had the benefit of I would connect with people through social media. I would send them if okay, here's something else. I would stalk people through social media. I mean, let's be real, that's what it's there for. That's what it's there for. Let's
Right.
use it like it's supposed. That's what you're
It's a
supposed to
tool.
stalk
It's a
people on there.
tool. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a tool.
So I would stalk people on social media, and if I felt like I could bring value to them, I would reach out to them personally.
Right.
Maybe I sent them a book. Maybe I said, "Hey, a couple of days ago you talked about this on your Facebook profile. I saw this article. I think of you. Hey, I noticed that you talked about your favorite blah 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 cheesecake, yada yada. I am going over here to have this cheesecake. Do you want to join me?" Right. Plus, I have a book I want to give you. Plus, I just took this
Hmm.
class where I can help you stay in better contact with your people or build better relationships or whatever. It wasn't a, hey, can we go to coffee so I can tell you how great I am and why you should send me your business?
Dude, it's
And
so funny you going over this. This is the exact stuff I do. Like I sent out a link to an insurance agent today of an interview that Mike Claudio did with Brian McKittrick.
yep,
And I'm like,
two
here,
two
you'll
of
find
my
this super.
favorite two of
Yeah.
my favorite people.
Yeah,
Yep.
you'll find this super useful. And, I expect nothing in return, but that insurance agent is going to think of me next time they got a real estate question or a real estate need.
And then so we're putting people in the room with other like-minded people who can do business together.
Hmm.
I might not have sent, just like you might not have sent, I might not send somebody business, but I invited you to come to lunch with me. And I invited these other 6 women to come to lunch with me, and 3 of you did business together. Now, I'm not going to stand up here and say I gave you that business, but
But that's what they feel, though. They
that's
feel
exactly right.
obligated, and they come back around and say, "Well, Jessica's done something nice for me, so what can I do that's nice for Jessica in return?" And
Here,
it's always, I mean, it always pays off.
here's the tagline: if you want to generate massive amounts of referrals, membership has to have its privileges. If somebody is friends with you, it needs to have its privileges. They need to know I have a friendship with you, which means I know I'm going to learn new things. My life's going to be a better place. I'm going to grow my business. It needs to mean something that they're friends with you, and it's up to you to make sure that that means something.
God, you are so right. All right, Kyle, make a show note at 36 minutes into this recording. That right there, if I had a sound effect button like Bradley, there would be a bomb going off right there. That was freaking legit. Kyle, cut that shit out and highlight that wisdom from Jessica, because man, you're nailing it on there, Jessica. Thank you for that. And now I completely forgot what I was going to say next. I was so floored by that.
So I've had other insurance agents in my local market go to my people and say, "Why do you work with her? What's listen, there's no secrets, right?" But one of my top referring partners that actually I've been friends with for years, well, since we met like in 2017. So yes, we have been friends for years, 3 years. He said, "She doesn't ask for it. She doesn't expect it. I send her
Mm-hmm.
my business because she doesn't expect it." The one thing that I'm so good at is if you're one of my friends and you're in my circle, if you have a goal and you hit that goal, I'm celebrating you like it was mine. I
Yes.
I got to go. So this same friend that I just talked about literally bought the dream car. I've known it was the dream car for a couple of years because we've had those conversations because I know that about my people. I
Right?
know their dogs' names, I know their spouses' names, I know their dreams, I know their goals. I know that about them because I'm trying to help them get there.
Uh-huh.
He bought the car, right? So, well, actually, my husband and I, we went to lunch with them, and he's like, "I'm really thinking about it, this and that." So we had conversations, and then my husband was even looking up the car online and was like, "Hey, tell him I found this one in Tennessee and over here." And when he bought the car at like 6:30 in the morning, he sends me a text with a video. He's walking around the car, and I was in Dallas, so I was like, "Yeah, so exciting." And then the other day we went to lunch, and I said, "I'm coming to your office so you can drive me in the car." So
Oh,
he got,
nice.
so I knew that I don't know a lot about cars, right? But I knew this car meant something. I knew what it meant. And it was like I celebrated his accomplishment just as much, if not more, than he celebrated his own accomplishment. And then one of my other friends hit me up and said, "Whose car is that?" Because I didn't say his name. Well, I didn't say his name in the social and whatever, because it's not my news to tell, right? I just
Hmm.
said, "Oh yeah, going with lunch with my friends, blah blah blah." And he said, "Oh my gosh, whose car is that?" "That's my dream car." And I said, "Oh, it's our other friend, right? They're acquaintances, kind of friendly."
Right?
And I said, "Oh, it's so and so's car. Hit him up. He'll take you for a ride in it."
No
Like, how
way.
fun is that? Yeah, exactly. He'll take you for a ride. So anyway, it's just you
The
you
privileges of being
the
friends with
privileges.
Jessica.
That's
And
exactly right. It has to mean something. If you're my friend and we do business together, that I have to make sure that that means something to you. That that's a benefit in your life, in your kids' life, in your spouse's life, in your business. It has to mean something to you.
and you know, it's funny that you mentioned the benefits of being friends, because when when I pull someone into my circle and I shake their hand and I give them a hug, I tell them, "Hey, you're in the cool club now. You're
Oh,
you're on my cool list. I got your back. Don't you worry." And it's nothing more than just them knowing that I value them high enough to let them pass that velvet rope and into my referral network, into my circles, into my friend group, and all that stuff. And yeah, I never thought of it like that, but I say that to everybody that I let in into the circle. I tell them, "Yeah, you're in the cool club now. You're in the good books." So
so I had someone approach me once. It was someone who did mortgages, and this was a couple of years ago, and they found
uh-huh.
me on the socials, and they're like, "Well, I want in your circle." And I'm like, "What do you mean you want my circle? I want to spend time with you and your people." And I was like, it was a little awkward because I was like, you're asking, right? The way you get into this circle is you serve.
You're
Like you
right.
come with it, you come and you don't say, hey, let me into your circle. Hey, I want in your circle. You say, hey, Jess, you need help with anything?
Yeah.
How can I help you? What do you got going on? Is there anything that I can do for you? Can I help? Can I help you grow your business? What
And
can I help you with?
the one of the ways my business really exploded was when I stopped trying to build a fence around everything and made it a big open table. Everybody can come, everybody's welcome, everybody sits down, everybody brings something to the table. We treat it like a
That's
potluck.
right.
And provided you are consistent in bringing things to the table, you can take as much as you want from my table,
Sure.
take as
Yeah.
much as you need, and it's just worked. Don't build taller fences, build longer tables, and invite everybody and show that value. So, man, we're getting pretty deep in here, Jessica. I'm having a lot of fun, and especially at the faces you're making, which which
I'm a little tiny bit expressive, tiny
I
bit.
no. I love it. But I wanna keep moving on and talk about we covered the struggle, we covered the setting up of the business, but let's talk now about 6 years into this. Let's talk about the lady CEO that's got a book out, that's on all these podcasts, that's doing business consulting and selling insurance. Man, you are just the poster child for Apex and coming through it and learning and stuff. So tell us a little bit about what your day to day is like now. Are you one of these guys that sticks to and lives by a calendar? Do you have a morning routine? What does Jessica look like from a day to day?
Oh, geez. Well, I will tell you that this is my 6th year in insurance. And because I grew the business the way I did, I forced myself to grow as a person, right? So
Right?
I have my referrals without asking academy where I have private clients that I help. And again, the
Wait,
referrals are
what's
great.
the name of that? Okay,
My referrals without asking academy.
dude, that's referrals without asking. Write that down because that's going to blow up. That's your training
So
class.
yeah, referrals without asking academy. Just hit me up, find me on the socials.
We'll
Fine.
get
Yeah.
to that bit, but referrals without asking, that's a really good name for an
Yeah.
academy. All right, so
So
sorry.
so the but what I realized was as I was growing my business by referrals and as I help others grow their referrals, because of the way that you and I serve, we had to up level. We had to
Right.
learn more. We had to learn more skills. We had to become more interesting people because when you're walking into a group or you're hosting a group of 20 people, you better be good at conversation.
Oh yeah.
So a little secret is that people want to spend time with interesting people. I worked to become interesting, and that was more of a gift to myself than I could have ever given to anyone else. So because I was so into pouring into other people, and I was consuming so much that of course it helped me. I became a better mom. I became a better wife. I became a better leader. I take great care of my body. And so when you're it's not just business. Oh,
No,
not
it's
just
all of it.
business. And so then what happened was I was pouring into other people and they're like, well, you should be a coach. You should be a consultant. I'm like, let me think about that. And then as you're not spending your time and your brain power worrying about where the next transaction or where the
Hmm.
next paycheck is coming from, it's so freeing and you get to explore other things like, oh, okay, I should write a book. Let me write a book.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, let me take what I've learned. Because for me to get 300 referrals one year, 600 the next year, 500, 400, 700, for me to get that, it's a system. And I had to stop and pull back and say, what is the system? Because other people need it, right? That's how it goes. I love
Right.
when they come to me and say, how do I build a team? Be your own success story, right? Go out and do something.
Dude, it forces you to learn. It forces you to grow. Like doing this podcast, like putting together a networking group, like becoming a leader. It's forcing me to go work out. It's forcing me to get in better shape. It's forcing me to read and educate myself. And that's what people don't realize is once you jump, there's no going back, man. Like
it's the most beautiful life ever, right? Because you feel like you're making an impact. You feel like you're helping other people, which can be a little heavy sometimes, of course, but it's more joyful than heavy. But 5 years of consistently doing that, I have more shifted now into how can I serve others, right? Still own my insurance company. I still generate all the referrals from my insurance company. I think we just crossed over 250 for the year, which is awesome. But it's more of I'm a business owner now, and I teach others to do exactly what I did. I
Right.
pour more into others, and I'm a business owner. So I had to step back a little bit from the insurance agency because I'm not the person in there every day who's quoting the policies. You have a billing question? You don't want to talk to me because I don't even know the logins or the
It
passwords
it's
to the
so
carriers.
strange how that works. I mean, I'm the same way. There's 5 people operate on my real estate team, and I spend less than 30% of my time doing real estate. But
Yeah.
it, and that's coming from 2 years ago. Where's the next deal coming from? Running ads, trying to find the next referrals, trying to find the next clients, trying to find all this stuff. And now my time is spent developing other people and pouring into them and building their companies with them. And then the real estate referrals just come. And
Yeah.
yeah, I do the legwork. I do the reading. I make sure everything's right. I shake the client's hands. I set up the stuff, but like all the back end is handled by a team. All the front end's handled by a team, and I get to do what I'm good at. And what I want to let people know, man, is if they do the work and they follow a program like yours that you've put together, or they follow a program like Apex, it gets really good when you get out on the other side of it.
Yeah, it really does. It becomes a place where you're serving other people at such a high level that they want to serve you back. It helps to grow their business. It helps to grow your business, and then the a huge gift for me is because of that work that I did, I provide a warm, safe place for a team that comes in and works in our insurance office, right?
Right.
We've got moms and dads that come in, and it's an environment where if their kids are sick or they want to take a week off and go drive across country, they're not going to be judged, or nobody's going to be mean to them, and they don't worry about a paycheck. And
Mm-hmm.
you know why? It's a warm, safe place. They don't have to worry about a paycheck. It's a great place. They get to grow. They get to live their dreams because I said, how can I serve other people?
It is without a doubt the best feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Knowing that other people's families are being fed because of you serving somebody else and generating the paychecks. So, yeah, wow. All right, before we run out of time, tell us a little bit about your book, The Lady CEO, and what that looks like and the project behind it. Because I know I have 15 or 16 copies of it, but I've not read it yet. So forgive me. I've got about 6 books in a queue between most of you guys and between a lot of book referrals that I get whenever I post a book thread. I love to read. I devour books. But tell us a little bit about yours. And if you've got a second, tell us about the process of writing it, because a lot of us think that you got to sit down with a pen and a paper and a typewriter and knock one out. How did you how did you get that? How did you even write a book? Tell us about the book. Come on.
So one of the most amazing things about the Apex crew is they see more in me than I could ever see in myself. Right. So
Yeah,
I show up.
I get that. Yeah.
I show up like you
You-
see way more in me than I see in me. And I
Right,
love
but
it, right?
you saw more in me. You were the one that pushed me to start my group. Like, you
That's right.
saw it in me.
That's
So
right.
I mean, yes.
Stop! I'm gonna cry.
Oh, cry! Go for
But,
it. You'll be the first guest that's cried on the podcast. Get it out.
So our friend and mentor Ryan Stuman said to me, "You need to write a book." And I'm like, "What the fuck am I going to write a book about?" Right? Nobody wants to. Who's going? I got nothing to tell. I got nothing to tell. And he says, "Look at your life, right?" And I'm going to start crying here, but look at your life. Look at your marriage and your kids, and how you call your own shots, who you work with and how you work. And just FYI, I don't get up to an alarm unless I got to get the kids to the bus stop, right? That's just not, I just don't. That's not how I live my life. I travel more than now than ever before. And I pour into and serve so many people and have these adventures with my kids. Like, I'm not next week, but the week after, I'm taking my 12-year-old niece on a trip, and she's never been on an airplane before. Listen, roll with Aunt Jess. We're going TSA pre-check, and you're coming on the airplane with me, right? We're going on a trip.
It's going to be great.
And so, but what Ryan said is, you look at your socials and you look at where you are now, and I know it's not easy, but people think your life is sunshine and rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
They have no idea that you grew up in poverty. They have no idea that, your dad tried to commit suicide, and that your parents basically didn't want you and your brother, and that you failed so much. And I'm like, oh, like I should tell people that? And he's like, yes, you should tell people that.
Yes.
So he, in true mentor fashion, he called me out in front of the group in October of last year. And he says, this is a group of about 100 people of my peers I have so much respect for. These are family, what we call family of choice, right? Mm-hmm. You're my family of choice. And he said, Jessica's writing a book. And I was like kind of yik-yakking with my friend Nancy on the side. She said, hey, Ryan just said you're writing a book. And I was like, what? He's standing in front of the group. And I said, oh my goodness. And so it was not something that I necessarily wanted to do. And so it took a couple of months for the seed to germinate inside of me, for the idea to even gain some steam, because like most of us, right? You have an idea and maybe you tell someone, maybe you don't. And it kind of grows a little bit and grows a little bit. And by the time you tell people, you've been thinking about it for 2 or 3 months, you have it all ironed out and whatever. So I am not a sit down and work from this time to this time kind of person. And I'm not real structured. Okay. Just gonna put it out there. Don't at me about that. Don't send me special planners. I've tried them all. I'm not doing it. I'm gonna go with the flow, and I get it done. Right.
Thomas Keenan's gonna send you a shock collar after this. He's gonna get you one of the little zap you on the neck every time.
No. Thomas Keenan and I are very close friends. So he has actually, when I first got into Apex Executives, Tom was my coach. And so he got to deal with this hot mess of craziness for at least a year. But anyway, so he's used to it. But even though I'm not real structured and all of that, look what I've created.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's okay. It's okay if that's not your gig, no big deal. So the first thing was I had to decide, what am I going to write about, right? And then I decided I was going to write about my failures. Like I failed my way to success. Okay.
That's all failure is. As long as you don't quit, it's the foundation you build success on. It's how we learn, man.
So my girlfriend said to me a couple of months ago, she said, oh, well, I know where all the bodies are hidden. And I was like, do you know I just wrote a book about all my failures? Like, it's on paper. Anybody can read about it. I got no hidden bodies anywhere. I got no secrets, right? So I literally went through and said, okay, what are the top 10 failures, or what I deem as a failure in my life? And those were the chapters. And then I said, but I had to be real careful because I'm not a negative person. And so the real struggle at the beginning was, how do I tell these stories, but pull the good out of it and tell it in a positive voice? Like, how do I talk about my shitty parents, but still gotta respect them, they're your parents, whatever, shitty parents, but not make it like poor pitiful me.
But right? The benefit of having shitty parents is it teaches you how to be a good parent.
That's
teaches
exactly
you how
right.
not to raise your kids. It gives you, I mean, there's, unfortunately, life is rough. The world is a bitch, and it's a nasty place. And
it is.
Raising kids is very difficult, and the more you learn along the way, the better. But there's no happy ending. We just have to be happy today and get on with it the next day.
It's a choice. Happiness is a choice. I consider myself a success. Are there other people who would look at me and go, well, yes, but others have done better. Others have done more. Well, okay. I choose to be happy. I choose to label myself as a happy person. I choose to label myself as a success. And that's how I carry myself. But I started to, when I first started with the book, have my 10 chapters laid out, and I was kind of recording it and trying to transcribe it into a Word document. And what I found was I was recording it, and then I was going back to the Word document, and I was basically redoing it in the Word document. So then I'm like, all right, I gotta kick out the recording, right? I'm not doing that anymore. So I ended up basically, just typing it all out. And then I had an online editor that I sent it to, and I had a graphic artist that I had do the cover. I had our friend and photographic genius Alex Pace do the front cover for me, do the picture for me. So that was pretty awesome. But it is not as hard as people think. The hard part is, what am I going to talk about? And so I actually got stuck, right? So I mentioned a little bit earlier that I was studying things and I was being a positive person. And one thing that I had done a really good job of over the last 3 to 4 years was with my Facebook videos, not necessarily talking about insurance, but also talking about life lessons and pulling from my past and talking about that stuff. And so about halfway through the book, I got stuck because I was like, what else am I going to talk about? And I went back through my Facebook videos for 3 years and found all kinds of stuff. I've been writing this book for 3 years. I didn't even know it.
Isn't that incredible?
I had no idea.
I
had no idea.
I think that when I write my book, my goal was to publish before the end of 2022, like December time, but I can see it. That's
a year and a half away.
Well,
what the hell?
I got a lot of shit I want to get done, but then the more I think about it,
do you? Do you?
Oh yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
I got some massive plans. You just wait.
Okay.
It's making me smile even thinking about them. And I wanted to implement those plans and get them running, and then take a sabbatical and head out of here for 2-3 weeks, go somewhere quiet, and actually build the framework and do the book. And I'll hire a proper book publishing company to help me build it, and then we'll self-publish, obviously. But there's no point trying to do it myself when there's all that mentorship around. But yeah, I can look back on 4 years of video, on 4 years of podcasting, on all the Friday Fires we've done for the last few months on Small Business Surgeons. There's so much content. For me, writing a book's not going to be difficult. It's just curating the content I've already put out and deciding what I want to put in the book.
Yeah, exactly. You've been writing this book for 2 years.
I am really looking forward to publishing it, because how has life changed for you? How do people look at you a little bit differently now you're a published author with a number one bestseller on Amazon, I might add.
Okay. So I need everybody to know I'm a little crazy. Right?
We can tell.
And when I say I'm not afraid of failure, let me illustrate that I'm not afraid of failure. Okay, so I'm gonna write this book, right? Great, I'm gonna write this book. Getting close to it being done, I'm like, I want to be a bestseller. And Thomas and Ryan, Tom Keenan and Ryan Stewart, I'm like, guys, I'm going to be a bestseller. And they're like, oh, Jess, of course you're going to be a bestseller. And then I'm like, we're getting closer. I'm like, I'm going to be a #1 bestseller. And Ryan's like, oh shit, like you're calling your shot. You're going to be a #1 bestseller? And I'm like, why write a book if you're not going to make it a #1 bestseller? Right?
Exactly.
What's the worst that's going to happen? I don't hit #1 bestseller. What's the worst that's going to happen? So, and then I failed, but I learned something along the way. So, long story short on that, I did hit #1 bestseller, and I hit it 24 hours the day that I published it. So I hit it within 24 hours of publishing the book, a #1 bestseller. And here's something that you'll think is kind of funny, because I shared my failure, right? Failure in real estate, feel like I failed out as a salesperson. My book hit #2 bestseller in real estate sales.
Wow. Well done. That's all the failures, and that's how we learn.
It has nothing to do with selling real estate, but so I feel like I'm a very spiritual person. I'm like, oh, God has a sense of humor. That's funny. But why, if you're going to do something, have the courage to do it at a big level? I don't think anybody in my circle thought, okay, you're going to go to #1 bestseller on your first day. Because I don't, again, this is my own lack of self-awareness. I feel like I almost just said, because I'm just me, I'm like nobody, right? Well, clearly I got some stuff going if I hit #1 bestseller the first day, but I figured out a formula. And that's how I do things in my life. I figured out a formula. how to get a #1 bestseller. And now I help my friends with that formula so we can get them to #1
Oh,
bestseller.
so all right.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad we're friends.
Uh-huh.
I'm glad we're
That's
friends.
exactly. Again, I do things. I jump off the cliff. I land in the cold water. I climb back up the cliff, and I say to my friends, "Now let me show you how to do this. Let me help you do this." So we were at $1 Million Mastermind a couple of weeks ago, right? And I was coming through the parking lot, and one of our other Apex friends, Alex, I had not met Alex yet, but I'm coming through the parking lot. It's kind of drizzling a little bit. And he's like, Jessica. And I was like, hey. And he said, again, I had not met him before. And he's like, will you sign my book? And I was like, oh, here we go. It's starting. So I have people that the girl that cuts my hair, I got my hair done yesterday. And then my boyfriend, he hurt his foot, and I was telling him, in Jessica's book, she's talking about how she was listening to David Goggins' book, and so she ran on a broken foot for 4 miles because she said we don't stop when it hurts, we stop when it's done. Like, people are now sharing my story.
Dude, it's so cool.
My failures have now encouraged other people. They look at that and they go, oh, well, if Jessica can survive that. And in the very end of the book, I talk about, I want you to think, if Jessica can do it, then I can do it.
Jessica Stroud, you are an amazing human being. I have 2 more questions before we wrap this show up, and I ask these of every single guest. So, but wow, just thank you for. I mean, it's just been an hour of sharing, and it felt like 5 minutes. But if you are listening to this show as a small business owner, right? And if you could go back in time, Jessica, and give one piece of advice to somebody starting out, something critical that's really helped you, what would it be?
Think about yourself less.
I like that.
Because when we first start, it's like, how can I get business? How can I build my business? Okay. I don't study insurance. I don't study how to build an insurance business. I study how to help realtors get more business. I study how to help mortgage people get more business. I study how to get multi-level marketing people, how they can get more business. I study how to help other people. I think about myself less than I think about other people.
That is, I mean, that's been critical in what I've done. I wished I discovered worrying about people more than I worry about money a long time ago. It's just very difficult to do. Like I said, when you're in a startup phase, it's all about shit. Where's the rent coming from? How am I going to eat? You know, you get to know all the flavors of ramen. You know, and that is just critical. That's some amazing information. Learn how to serve others. And the last question I got for you, Jessica, where do we find you online? How do the guys listen to the podcast go follow you, get your book, and figure out what's going on in the life of Jessica? Where do we follow you?
So I'm very open and very entertaining on the socials. Facebook is my jam. So just find me, Jessica Stroud, on Facebook. I'm hard to miss when you type my name in. There's several of us, but you'll know me when you see me.
It's the one with the pink.
And then the pink something. The pink's always there. And then on Instagram, I'm Jessica Stroud _Lady CEO. And of course, you can get the book at Amazon. Just type in the Lady CEO and it'll pop up. And again, it's only $5.99, or you can get the Kindle version. I think it's at $2.99.
And we'll throw links to those in the show notes as well, all this stuff. So what else you got?
And then inside of the book, I have done bonus videos that go along with the book. They don't cost anything. And, you know, there's not a package to try to sell you by any means. And specifically, if you own a business, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, whatever you're trying to do, and you need help with somebody to take you by the hand and help you generate referrals, I'm your girl. Private message me. If not, just send me a friend request. We'll be friends. That's fine. But if you specifically want someone to help you with generating referrals for your business, send me a message.
And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite human beings on the planet. I am humbled that you have come on my little podcast and that we've hung out, Jessica. So thank you so much for that. And please go check out her stuff, The Lady CEO on Amazon. We'll drop the links here in the show notes. Go find her on Facebook, follow her on Instagram. And Jessica, once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And guys, we will see you all on Friday for another episode of Friday Fire. I really appreciate your listening. If you have liked the show and got something out of it, do me a favor, run and subscribe, follow Jessica on Instagram, and hit up her socials, and leave us a review on iTunes. And as always, guys, we will see you on Friday. You'll have a great week. Stay safe.